Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome, my gorgeous Aries. This is going to be your September 2025 reading. This will be for Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Many of you are intuitively guided. You're paying attention to your intuition, and I hope you're proud. Like, you should be proud of yourself, because I feel like once we start really trusting our intuition, other things seem to fall in place. So, as many of you know, I work with our spirit guides. So, when you're intuitively guided, I know it's your guides like nudging you. So, I thank them and I thank you. Um, some of you could certainly be in love with an Aries platonically, romantically. Um, Same thing. Just stay open to receiving messages. No matter what brought you to the reading, I feel like if you clicked on it, chances are there is a message, if not the whole reading, may be for you. And that's why I want you to use your intuition. You know, like this is a type of reading you should really feel. It's a soul to soul connection. We are soulmates. Even if you're brand new, that just means welcome to the soul family. So, what I'm going to do this month, you probably already know if you caught the videos before. I am doing opposite signs again. So, I just did Libra yesterday. I'm going to do you today. And I am asking, I'm going directly to our spirit guides for September using a new format, where I'm going right to them, asking them 6 very important and specific questions. So I'll tell you what they are first, then we'll get into the reading. Number 1, is anything blocking me or my growth in any area? And I also want to let you know, for anyone who's new, when I say I or me, I'm just an Aries right now. I am Aries. I am fire. I'm actually a Virgo, but right now I'm an Aries. Number 2, what do our guides want us to know right now and why? So we want to know why. Number 3, how will my love life look in the month of September, but also moving forward? I feel like I have to be honest. I feel like Libra's energy is going to be very good as it relates to relationships, but I feel like this is the month where there may be, like, if you're in a current relationship, and I'm just picking this up intuitively, there could be like opportunities to really have some deep discussions. Keep in mind that Mercury is in retrograde. I wish I knew till when. I think it's the 15th. But it even has a shadow period. So, just think about what you're going to say before you say it, because words we cannot take back. So anyways, how's your love life going to look like? Whether you're single, whether it's going to be new love, old love, or existing relationships, whatever our guides want to talk about. Number 4, what lessons from the past are helping you right now? Your past is your history. It's like your history book. You can go back and look and be like, oh, okay, I've already been through that, so I know what that outcome's going to be like. You know what I mean? Your history will teach you anything you need to know. Number 5, if single or interested in love, what type of person is crossing your path? So, and what I mean by that is you're crossing each other's paths. Two people, right? Two different situations. How will come together? And then last but not least, the energy that's being called for you, to take advantage of, let's say, in September. And I put in parentheses, like, this is where I want your guides to give you, well, I'm going to say your biggest message, but it's all messages from your guides. Let's just say love messages from your guides. So those are the questions we're going to ask. But I am going to start with Mother Mary and let her open up the reading. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. Actually, let me bring the lid down so I don't forget. And I know I just skipped right past it. Um, we're going to use, we are going to use the major arcanas for your bullet points. For your main spread, or for the questions, we're going to use the light seers, which is the same thing I used with Libra on purpose. Very well shuffled though. And then the crystal vision and the gilded tarot. So that's how it's all going down in the neighborhood. Shout out to my friend on whose birthday is March 22nd. Hope. Hope. Just feels good. I trust that God has a wonderful solution and brilliant plans in store for me. I trust that God has wonderful solutions and brilliant plans in store for me. Amen. And so it is. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring in the major arcanas. And these really don't have anything to do with the questions. This is just to get like, I don't know. I feel like they tell their own little story, but then they'll always relate back. So, hello, world, with the Fool right in the middle. You know, the world speaks of completion, but the opening of the next portal, let's say, this is important because, you know, and I know everyone's getting tired of me saying this, but it is important to understand that we're in the year of the Hermit, and it is about reflection. It really is about finding one's spirituality, finding that light within. But I feel like it's really getting us ready for the next chapter, which will be a brand new 9-year cycle. Brand new 9-year cycle. So I want to know who's come along for the ride and who's stopped. Like I see this train in my mind, and it's like, this is your stop. Except I don't feel like it's your stop. I feel like it's someone else's. So, anyways, the Fool in the middle of the world is about taking a leap of faith. Um, but I often feel in the world's energy that it is the most spiritual time in your life. It's really when I feel like you found your spirituality and it's now growing leaps and bounds. So the Fool, you know, is not carrying the fear of the past, or this may suggest that. So let's see. Let's see what's happening here. Hangman, slow down, you move too fast. All right, so the hangman. The hangman, number one, is seeking wisdom, spiritual wisdom, but to use on this earthly plane. This is really a free will action. Um, you know, you're probably seeking some type of answer here or confirmation. Some may be a little resistant to the completion of the last chapter. But let's see what the hangman is swaying towards. I always feel like that's a big clue. You know, the hangman, whoa, okay. I'm going to take him. There's a lot, but I'm not going to leave him out on the table, but I am going to take him. All right, we have the devil, heart of Capricorn. Um, this talks about temptations, things that you're tempted to. Um, I often feel the devil's energy casts illusions. Some of you are really seeking that. Like, is this an illusion or is this real? It may have to do with something that just started. Some of you may be overcoming or have overcome something. You know, there may be something that some of you want to stop doing. Um, and you may be wondering, like, can I stop? You know, like, let's say I find myself drinking more than I planned on, and it's coming between me and my money or me and my love. So, you know, can I eliminate that? You know, the devil's illusion may make you feel like, no, you can't, but that's an illusion. And that's really the greatest trick of the devil is the illusion of making you feel stuck. It's also a card of Capricorn, by the way. Some of you may be waiting on a Capricorn. All right, the Empress, the mother figure. Wow, she could read right through those illusions. We have beautiful, the magician. Magician mirroring the world. Looking over at the Empress. That's pretty powerful in itself. The Empress is, again, the mother figure, but the mother figure because she's nurturing and loving. But this is someone who's very wise, and the wisdom comes from her experiences. I mean, it can come from book smarts also, but let's just say a combination. You know, what I love is this Empress is sitting with this beautiful bounty on her lap. It's like seeing the fruits of one's labor. And the Empress is receiving epiphanies and ideas all the time, as we all are. But she knows it. She feels it. You know, this is someone who doesn't build up walls. You know, my computer keeps going like the strangest colors. But she doesn't. She doesn't build up walls. She can see through the illusions. And she got the magician on the other side. So, wow, you want to talk about powerful energy to manifest anything. You know, the loving and nurturing, you know, think of that as compassion and empathy. But again, she's no one's fool. Why? Because her experiences have taught her. Okay? We have the moon. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. And the death card. Card of Scorpio. The moon, by the way, a card of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. So, again, the death card speaks about endings, as does the world, completions. But the magician mirroring the world, like, honestly, Aries, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? Because I feel like you have the energy here. You know, and I feel like the full moon in September for you, I also feel is going to be very good for your energy. You know, like I feel like it's going to help give you energy. So I feel like, long story short, it just feels like for some, there may be a need for completion. I feel like you would already know what that is. Again, it could have something to do with temptations, something that tends to pull you back. But now with the Empress here, like, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Even the death card representing Scorpio. I mean, even the moon, right? There's a lot of water right there. There's a lot of emotions right there. So, I simply feel like this is saying something has come to completion. Some may be a little resistant to it. And I feel like what this is saying is stand in your power. Know that you have that power. And then think of the Empress as yourself with the magician. The magician is the fool's greatest mentor. And what the magician teaches the fool is you have all the tools you need to be successful. Here they are. They're all on the table. Use them as you will. So there's really, it doesn't feel like there's anything in your way except for maybe, again, if I'm being hesitant on closing what wants to close. Well, this is probably your message. All right. Okay. I get it. So let's pick these up. I would normally leave them on the table. Um, but we're going to have a lot of cards on the table. So we're going to use, again, the light seers for the questions. I'm just going to give them a quick shuffle. Again, already pre-shuffled. I do this for you, really. Give them a quick cup. Cut, not a cup. Cut. I've already had a few people say, why don't you do this before? I do. Um, but honestly, I give you a shuffle because I feel like number one, it just helps erase any doubt in your mind, you know, um, for those who may have it. Also, I like to do it because I feel like it's one more chance to pick up on your energy. Just last but not least, real quick. Okay, let's get to the questions. All right. So, number one. Number one, is anything blocking me or my growth in any area? So, is there anything that may be coming between me and my growth and any area? Hmm. Two Pentacles. I have a feeling that is relating back to the hangman. This is a question. Should I or shouldn't I? They do call this the juggler's card. Can mean that you have a lot of balls up in the air. It just it reminds me real quick of Sam said to me yesterday, like you're trying to do too much. You have too many irons in the fire. And I said, well, I think you're looking at it backwards. Like I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm expanding. Even though the money and all that's not expanding with me, my creativity is expanding. So sometimes you just have to understand that even loved ones can say things that, I mean, it wasn't a negative comment, but literally it was representing the two pentacles. Like, don't you already have a lot of balls up in the air? I do, but I can handle another one. So I do feel like this is relating back to the hangman. You're trying to make a decision. And remember, this is about what's blocking you. To me, the Two of Pentacles, I feel like it's advice to use your logical mind and not your fear-based mind. Like if you're trying to make a decision on something, but there's fear, but yet the logic of it makes more sense. Follow the logic. I see some of you doing like pro and con list, pro and cons. All right, let's see what comes up above it. Seven of Pentacles. Okay. Don't love that. Okay. And then the Tower. Well, some of you are thinking about ending something. And it's interesting because we have the Tower, which is mirroring the Seven of Swords. This Seven of Swords, they call it the trickster. This is someone who carries untrustworthy energy. I mean, it doesn't always have to be a person, but it does feel like a person, I'm going to be honest. And I do feel like that is what the hangman was here for. Should I give someone another chance, maybe? Then the way that this person's being represented, it's really untrustworthy. I feel this is someone who, tells a lot of lies. They could be little white lies, but listen, once you lie, and then it's hard to believe you. That's how I feel. So, I don't know, Aries, do I bring them along? Remember, you had the world with the Fool in the middle of it, and you have the Tower. I feel like this is not the first time for the Tower as it relates to someone in particular. I'm looking at that too, and I'm thinking maybe I've given them two chances, and then they turn around and do the same thing again. So, I'm not going to freak out about it because I feel like this is just you questioning it. Like, should I or shouldn't I? And I feel like the answer is use your logical mind. Does it feel right? Why would you think there'd be any changes? I'm not saying there won't be or there couldn't be because everyone has the opportunity to evolve just like we do. But that does not mean that they do. Okay, well, what do our guides want us to know right now and why? Two of Wands. I feel like there's your answer. 22. I have to say that was the theme with Libra also. They had three twos, and I definitely felt like it was an angel message. You have two twos already, and they're side by side, trying to make a decision. Now it looks like you are making a decision, and what I love about the Two of Wands is you're not using your fear-based mind. This is like, I feel the sense of like I'm up for an adventure. There's two wands here. One's against the wall, and I feel like that's where it's staying. You're holding this other wand, the globe, a map. Like, where do you want to go? She's looking out this big window. Like the world is her oyster. But it does feel like someone's not coming along for the ride. Now, This is a message from your guides. Like, what do they want you to know? And the Two of Wands to me is like, it's like living again, like getting involved in life again. I feel like some of you have been just wrapped up with other people's or someone's actions, kind of like holding you down. But it doesn't have to be that way. That's what I'm picking up. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a whole big world to explore. Even if you're only exploring it from your living room. I don't know what that means, but that's what I just heard. All right, well, let's take the crystal vision above it. Hello, King of Cups. King of Cups, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We saw, actually, we saw them all in the major arcanas because the moon is Pisces, but also the ruler of Cancer. We saw the death card. But it doesn't have to be a water sign. Understand that. It does not have to be. This person is someone, they're emotional. This is someone who does wear their heart on their sleeve. And if he was in reversed, I'd be like, run. But he's not. So I don't think he's the seven of, who's ever in that Seven of Swords. I don't feel like they're the same person. So we'll see who he is. That's the Queen of Pentacles. Interesting. My psychic detective. Queen of Pentacles, let me tell you this, especially with Mercury in retrograde. There's any contracts, any agreements that come before you, the Queen of Pentacles is the perfect energy for that. Why? Because she's someone who will pick up details that other people seem to miss. That's really her specialty. Like she reads between the lines. And I'm wondering if, I have a feeling that you're either the king or the queen here. And I have a feeling they're going to be meeting. In what capacity? I'm not sure yet. But um, I do feel like in a helpful way. All right, well, let's ask the next question then. So, how will my love life look? Whether I'm single, new love, existing love. So, how will it look in September moving forward? We have the Strength card. Interesting. Card of Leo. New beginning, number 8, also the number of infinity. I always notice this tattoo on her arm. I often feel it's a clue. Like there may be someone you know, or it may be you, has a tattoo. Doesn't have to be an 8. Again, it feels like it's kind of going back to the devil's energy, temptations, because the strength card is about the inner you, like getting to know you. Just look at this person, half human, half lion, gentle little lamb on her lap. It's like the combination of everything. Her heart right there. Remember how I just said the King of Cups wears his heart on his sleeve? Pretty close. We have the Seven of Wands. Interesting. So 77, 22. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles. Wow. I love that right next to the Queen of Pentacles. You know, in the Ten of Pentacles, I don't feel like you're alone. I feel like some of you have learned some difficult lessons, especially as it's relating to the past. I do feel this sense of, if the past is not serving you, then let it go. Let it go. Like, be careful that you're not carrying other people's problems where you cannot solve them or they just won't listen. Let it go. Seven of Wands is defending oneself. But I don't feel a need for that right now. What I feel is the Seven of Wands is more about you and your abilities to help other people put out their fires, what you've gone through, and now you helping others to do the same. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. So it almost feels like whatever you're doing, someone else may be doing very similar things, like a similar business. Because I get this feeling that this is someone that you can collaborate with, like feed ideas off of. Some of you may be meeting a Leo, or there's already a Leo in your life. So I do want to say, as I said that, I'm thinking if there's already this Leo in your life, is this person attached to the Seven of Swords also? Because the Two of Wands is like the fool stepping upon the new path. So I feel like the Strength card is more for you and what you've overcome. And, what's made you who you are today and the appreciation of that. Ten of Pentacles. What else is interesting is I know I'm kind of going off script, but that's kind of what I do. Hence the name, the Rambling Psychic. um, but I do get this sense like this Ten of Pentacles, which is really the house of abundance. Now, if I have the Seven of Swords energy also with the Ten of Pentacles, I just kind of feel like it can't be. Because I feel like, let's say, I'm doing really well, but I do feel like you're just beginning something. I feel like this is the type of person who their hands would be out. Well, you're doing well, so give me some. Mm-mm, mm-mm, nope, done that, did that. Look where it got me. But look where it's taking you. And this is a perfect time to ask our next question. What lessons from the past are helping you right now? The Nine of Cups, inner harmony. Finding that inner harmony. Right next to the Strength card. Perfect. It's like you are learning all about yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly. The spiritual part of yourself, the earthly part of yourself. And you're balancing them. And that's what brings you to the Nine of Cups. Some of you are cutting out that Seven of Swords. And I feel like that's going to feel like freedom. Freedom. And don't forget the Nine of Cups doesn't only speak about inner harmony, but also fulfillment of wishes. So this is a great energy to have. But it is because of your reflection, because we're asking what lessons from the past are serving you right now. So it has to be the Strength card. Even the Seven of Swords in the Tower has taught you, but probably has taught you what you do not want. And that's an important lesson to learn. All right, let's go above the Nine of Cups. The Three of Pentacles. Collaboration, maybe. The Three of Pentacles, you know what I feel like this is saying? Don't be afraid to do the things that you love. Don't be afraid to take a chance on something, even if you don't feel like you know everything yet. This is about celebrating your individuality. And because this is about past lessons, this is what you're learning. Like how strong you really are. Some of you, your creative abilities are like opening up wide. So this is you kind of getting lost in your creativity, but there's someone just kind of admiring you for what you do. It's exactly what I felt earlier. Someone doing something similar to you. But the first message really is to celebrate your individuality. And I often feel if there's something I'm trying to overcome, one of the best ways I can do that is to refocus my mind into my creativity. You never know where it's going to take you. We already have the Ten of Pentacles. And it's right above the Nine of Cups. Interesting. And then the Seven of Swords again. So that Seven of Swords, though it can, again, talk about standing your ground, which is important to do. But at this point, I don't really feel like you have anything that you need to stand your ground against. Because I feel with the Nine of Cups and the Strength card together, you've really learned so much about yourself. And some of you, what you're learning is in Aries, you're great at this. Think of your major arcana, the Emperor, the leader of the people. And how does the Emperor lead? How did he become this leader? Through his own experiences. He's methodical. So putting plans in place. Between these two twos, should I? And then the Two of Wands is like, yes. But there's not movement quite yet. So this may be a good time, especially with the Queen of Pentacles underneath that, to put these plans. Again, maybe some of you are doing that pro and con list. But I feel like there's certain, let's just say, talents that you naturally carry. And sometimes we don't even realize this until we just kind of step into it. It's like me doing tarot. I knew nothing about tarot when I began. I just stepped into it. And now it really is my life, part of my life. So I feel that this is talking about your ability to help those, but help those that will give them a lift up, not someone who's going to take advantage of you. Again, let's think of the Empress. Loving, nurturing, very creative, but very powerful. The Empress doesn't create barriers around her. She doesn't put walls up. It's her intuition that she trusts beyond all. So think of it as like an energetic field, right? This is what the Empress has. It's her energy. And if something of a lower vibration tries to cross it, well, the alarm bells will go off. And the Empress will pick that up. maybe before. And listen, we've all been in these lower vibrational relationships. There just are levels to love. But each one teaches us something. Well, I feel like what you have learned, it can help us, the rest of the world, in tremendous ways. But this doesn't mean like you have to have some big grand job. Again, it's about your creativity, whether it just be something, like you start painting, and then all of a sudden someone's like, oh, I love that painting. Can I buy that from you? And you're like, holy shit, you want to buy my painting? And that rings a bell, and you paint more. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm feeling like, some type of talent that almost accidentally becomes a great way for you to make money. Ten of Pentacles. But again, I don't feel like you're alone in that Ten of Pentacles. So I feel like this is saying, don't look back at your past in a woe is me type of way. Even like, what the hell was I thinking? We've all been there. We've all done that. We've gotten red flags. We ignore them. This many times, when we reach the dark night of the soul, this is when we start seeking the light, and we will find the light. And I feel like that's what's happening here. Like, you are finding the light, or you have found the light. I hope that who's ever in this Seven Swords energy, whether it be a love interest or whoever it may be, they have caused towers in your life. So I feel, simply, why would I want to bring that along? And I don't think you are. And that's why I feel like the Nine of Cups feels like freedom to me. Like, freedom, freedom. Okay. If single or interested in love, what type of person is crossing your path? High Priestess. So someone very intuitive. Hello, Empress. Wow. And then the Queen of Wands, like-minded energy. Look what she's doing. She's lighting that flame. This is someone who, I often feel the Queen of Wands is very psychic. And then you have the High Priestess right above her. So this is someone who trusts their intuition, no doubt. The Empress. I mean, who else would I want for you? You know, Male or female, by the way, it doesn't matter. If you're a man watching this, well, then the Empress would make perfect sense. But if you're a female, um, unless, you're into same sex, this would represent, to me, like, just someone who is loving and nurturing. Like, this is someone I feel, and I also feel the collaboration. 33. Look at that. I just realized that. 33, 77, 22. And there's probably others, but there's another 7. 777. But anyways, what a great energy to come in. And what a great energy to collaborate with if you so choose. Again, it's pointing me down to this 10 of Pentacles. Like, you're doing your thing. This person's doing their thing. And intuitively, you're being guided, both of you. And I feel like this is someone who will not hold back. Like if they have feelings for you, they're going to tell you they have feelings for you. Now, if you say, but I don't know how I feel, this is someone who, how do I say this? I want to say demands respect, but not in a like, I demand respect. I give respect, and therefore I expect it back. But I feel like the clue is how intuitive they will be. Like let's say, as this comes together and a conversation is had, it's almost like someone can read your mind, read your thoughts, finish your sentences. To me, that must be a soulmate. And the high priestess, I feel like, is also a clue for you that you're going to feel it, especially with the Nine of Cups right before that. I mean, freedom, but not freedom from, when I say freedom, I don't necessarily mean freedom from ever loving again, freedom from my past, freedom to be who I am, freedom to appreciate the things and the qualities that I have because someone else is going to. And then that freedom also ushers in wishes. Well, as love goes, what a high vibrational love. So different than what we opened up with. And you know what else is interesting? I'm not going to say that everyone's on a twin flame relationship, but the one thing when I see this queen, it reminds me of the last twin flame relationship I did because she was part of what connected the twins together. And it was by lighting this flame. It was almost like a ceremony. Okay. Last but not least, and we have other cards we're also bringing in, but for this, what energy is called for you to use in September moving forward? So, what is the best energy that will help you be all that you can be? The Tower. Don't freak out. I feel like the Tower has probably taught you more than anything. The Eight of Wands, when I think about it, I bring about the law of attraction. When I think about, I bring about. This is also fast moving energy. This could be a change that happens in a second. Like 1 minute I'm single and boom, I meet someone who's like, oh, it just is. We just know. I feel like what it's saying is don't think about the past towers. And if you are going to think about them in a way of how you have grown from them. The tower sometimes pushes us because something has come to completion. We have free will, so we can resist it. But that doesn't mean our guides are going to continue to try to push it, especially if there's this that wants to open up. Ten of Wands. Let it go. Ten of Wands, mirroring the tower and coming under the tower. Something you may have learned is, and because you do care so much about your fellow man and woman, and I'm not saying every Aries does, but that's your natural energy. You are the seed planter. But this can talk about a period of time, maybe the last 9 years, where it feels like everything was put on your shoulders unfairly. But yet you did take it. And this is what the strength card's about. Like, we want to know all parts of ourselves. Maybe I carried a relationship and really wasn't receiving anything back. This can also talk about groundwork that you've been, like again, like that pro and con list, but then now beginning. I feel like what your spiritual team is saying is don't expect a tower unless you're in a situation that chances are going to bring you a tower. Again, I feel like I've given someone multiple chances. So for a tower to show again, like, am I really surprised? But there's this sense of your growth, you no longer accepting that. You know, you deserve more. Why? Because you are more now. I feel like we all start like with a little bit of like in lower vibrational energy, and it's about climbing that ladder to our spirituality. Well, I feel like you are finding it and don't like, again, that Eight of Wands, what I think about, I bring about. So, so just take the lessons that you've learned and let the rest go. Let the rest go. And then use that Eight of Wands with the Empress. Well, what I think about, I bring about in the Empress's energy could be amazing. And by the way, this Empress looks like there's an apple about to hit her head, like a new idea, a new epiphany, a new person. All right, let's look at the bottom of the decks. Okay, Three of Swords mirroring that Ten of Wands, sitting right next to the Tower. Well, that makes complete sense. Look at the Light Seers, the Hermit. This is really where you're seeking your spirituality. Also a card of Virgo, by the way. But look what the Fool's doing. Oh, look at it. He's not even the Fool. I was just going to say that. He's sitting like the Fool sits, right on the edge of a cliff. Look what he's doing. He's shining his beacon of light outwardly. To me, that means I'm helping, right? My wisdom is going out into the world. I could see some of you doing like podcast or something where, your work is then released out into the world. It is a representation of the ending of 2025, the ending of this 9-year cycle. So this reflection through the Hermit, because we're in the year of the Hermit, is perfect. And it's mirroring the Tower. So that Tower could have held us back, put us down, and all that. But I feel like you're the one who's coming out stronger than ever. You're now carrying that light. And I do feel like it is the dark night of the soul that makes us seek the light in the first place. And then we have the Four of Cups. Discontentment and boredom in one's emotional world. The meaning of this card is learning to use your spiritual discernment, trusting it. Interesting, it's next to the Seven of Swords. So I might not have trusted it at that time. But listen, I can say that about a lot of my old relationships. The beautiful thing about the Four of Cups is it does represent a cup coming in. And although it doesn't show it in this image, often you'll see this cup coming in from like the hand of divine from above to you. And then using your spiritual discernment to decide whether you accept that cup or you don't. But clearly, You haven't been satisfied emotionally. And I just get this sense that this King of Cups, male or female, is a good representation of the energy that is coming in. So, where because there's emotional unsatisfaction, I feel like someone held back their emotions, like didn't speak words of endearment, didn't love the way love should be. And but I gave them chances. What you should do is walk away saying, "Hey, at least I tried. At least I tried." And don't forget Mother Mary's message, hope. I trust that God has wonderful solutions and brilliant plans in store for me. Well, it certainly looks that way. So even in the Four of Cups, a cup. Now we add that cup that's coming into the Nine of Cups. That would take us to the Ten of Cups. We already have the Ten of Pentacles. And I feel like, listen, some of you may find the perfect person to collaborate with if you're looking to collaborate. You could also find a best friend, a mentor. But I also feel you're finding love. And I love that it's coming through the Empress's energy because I trust the Emperor and the Empress more than anyone, unless they were in reverse, but they're not. Three of Swords, that makes perfect sense. Let's see what's underneath that. Look at this. The Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords to me is a repeat pattern. This is dagger after dagger after dagger in your back. But it's also, to me, the energy of submission. Like the Eight of Wands. I was about to say I expect good things to happen, and they do. Well, that's a good thing to say. Um, but I may be saying I expect another dagger, and I'll be damned, another dagger comes. I feel like this is just really hammering home that there's just certain people whose energy is not matching with yours anymore. This is not about lowering your vibration to be with another. If someone wants to be with you, I feel like they have to raise their vibration. Of course, it does depend where you're at, but I feel like this is really showing us like if I think there's going to be changes in the Seven of Swords, and again, I'm not saying that that's impossible, but I feel like your guides are showing you that it'll just be a repeat pattern. Another sword will come, it will break your heart, it will result in a tower, and here we go again. All right, let's look under the Hermit. I don't know why I want to look under the cards all of a sudden. The Three, oh, look at that, and the King of Cups. The Three of Wands. Three of Wands. This is the energy of optimism. This is, I expect good things to happen, and they do. So it's kind of interesting I said that before the card even came out. This is about living in the present moment and truly saying to divine that I know my ships will come in at the right time, in divine's timing. But your energy is just as important. This isn't about divine saying, okay, it's now your turn. No, this is about you being ready. This is someone living in the present moment, getting excited for their future, even though they don't know what's going to happen yet. It's a reminder that you are the author of your story. You are the writer. And every moment we're making a decision which is going to affect our future in some way, positive or negative. Well, this is very positive. And I love that it's right under the Hermit. So it's like your true self that someone just took away, but you're reclaiming it. You're reclaiming yourself. And then there's that king. Yeah. And another king, King of Swords. Do I want to keep going? And then the Four of Swords, healing. Who knows? This King of Cups may carry some type of healing energy for you. Oh, we might as well look under this one too. We have the Page of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles really talks about a learning experience. These are the things that you've been learning as you're going. Page of Pentacles is usually a pretty relaxed type of energy, but she definitely absorbs. I love that she's sitting there. I don't know if it's a guitar, but she's getting ready to play like a musical instrument, and that may also be a clue for some of you. Excuse me just one second. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Um, yeah, so the Page of Pentacles. Oh my. Oh my. Look at this. Four of Wands. This is the commitment card, and how interesting that along with the commitment card, oh my gosh, is the Magician. Which really, the Magician is a representation of 2026. The Hermit is 2025. And you know how I was saying that I felt Libra's energy was going to be like I almost can't wait to do the reading for October for you. But I don't feel like this is something that you're waiting upon. Well, I guess it's on each individual. But this is about true commitment. I definitely feel like the Seven of Swords energy didn't give you any type of true commitment. You know, whether it's relating to love, money, anything. I just don't feel like you had it. And look what's right below that, the Ace of Cups. So we're looking at the Four of Cups, discontentment and boredom in love. You know, it's like you know what you want in love. Or maybe you now know. Maybe that's the way I should put it. Like you now know. You want a true commitment. Really in anything, right? Anything that, let's say you're collaborating with someone. Well, I want it to be a true commitment. But I feel like this is talking about love. Because again, it's coming over or coming under the Four of Cups, which is discontentment and boredom in one's emotional world. But also the learning, which is probably the most important part. Keeping in mind the different levels of love. And, you know, sometimes we have to learn that just because someone didn't love us in the way that we really want love, well, they just may not be capable of it. It's not always because it's our fault. Very seldom is it our fault. I'm not going to say sometimes it's not our fault, but I don't feel it here. But I do feel this is talking about your expansion, especially on an emotional level. It's almost like your spiritual team is saying, you know, there were some lessons emotionally that was important to learn so that when this new chapter starts to open up, you feel more comfortable. Because remember, the first card we got was you questioning whether you should or shouldn't do something. Well, that's even mirroring the Tower. So I feel like our answers being, or our questions being answered, we just have to either accept it or not. But boy, do I feel like, you know, if there's discontentment or boredom in your emotional world, I feel like that's about to change. But you have to allow it at the same time. You know, that's the thing. We are the author of our own books. right? The pen and paper belongs to us. But we're working hand in hand with divine to create the best possible life we can. And yes, sometimes that comes through difficult changes. But listen, if we never let anything come to completion, well, the Eight of Wands can talk about chaos. Well, I feel like if we never let anything come to completion, chaos would be the name. All right, let's go ahead and bring out the clarifying love situations. Should have brought this all up for you, but it's kind of late now. Give him a cut. All right. We've got two. All right. Fluttering heart. Your passion leads you to the love you desire. Your passion leads you to the love you desire. Fluttering heart. That makes sense. And I feel like that's also a clue. So you meet someone and it's like your heart, boom, 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 right? You start to get that nervous excitement. There's a difference between that type of fear and other types of fear, let's just say. This is a great omen as it relates to love. And then we have envy's turmoil. Obsessed hearts and jealous minds brew a storm of unyielding chaos. Well, that Seven of Swords is mirroring an energy that can be chaotic. So I love it when different decks are working together. So it feels like there's this love that's going to set your heart fluttering, and then there's this obsessed hearts and jealous minds through a storm of unyielding chaos. It means it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Okay. Last but not least, let's bring out the romance angels. Give them a cut. I mean, a shuffle and a cut. Oh, I should have said this in the beginning. Something new that I didn't even know I had. I didn't even know was available. Where you can hype a video. You have to do it in the first 7 days of a video. And everyone gets 3 hypes per week. So if you enjoy the videos, please consider hyping them. And the reason why is that tells YouTube to push the video more. And I feel like that now is a great way of supporting creators. You know what I mean? Doesn't cost anybody anything. Um, but I only want you to do it if you feel like doing it. All right. And that hype button, the reason why I didn't know about it is I work from my laptop. It's only on mobile. That's why I had no clue I even had it. But now I do. All right. Hmm. This could be the one. You already met that romantic partner you seek. This could be the one. Some of you, you already know this person. This could be someone from back in the day. You know, I don't feel like there's a lot you need to do other than just be open. Because remember, I asked our guides, like, who is being guided towards you? You know, guided towards each other. But this can also represent past lives, soulmates, twin flames, because I felt that earlier. And then it's interesting. It seems like one card, positivity, and then the next card, release your ex. Release your ex. The time has come to clear your energy. The time has come to clear your energy. You know, and it's reclaiming your life, reclaiming yourself, reclaiming your abilities, you know, getting lost in them again, doing things the way you want to do them. I don't know, all of a sudden I'm getting all this power just from releasing this X. Now listen, you may have already released the X, but then once you release the energy of the X, you know, in other words, saying, okay, so I dealt with this Seven of Swords who keeps resulting in towers. So that's why I want to really look at it and know it, so I don't repeat it. But I don't feel like you will, because I feel like once you hit that Nine of Cups, the world is your oyster. What do you want to do? You know, and even in the Eight of Wands, what you think about, you bring about. Well, think of high vibrational love if that's what you want. Think about making money from your talents. This feels like it has great energy of collaboration. And to me, whether I'm literally collaborating with someone, I feel like this means that this is someone that I'll feel very comfortable like feeding ideas to, and vice versa. You know, the one thing I know is that you're going to feel the passion, you're going to feel the energy. And yes, I know that can feel scary, especially after you've been through something like this. And that fluttering heart, like, be careful not to mistake that for like a red flag, because I feel like your guides will be very clear. And again, the high priestess here, your intuition, but also someone else's intuition, very strong, lighting that flame. You know, when I see this could be the one, I often feel in this day and age with social media, like I could see people changing their statuses from, you know, in a relationship to single, except in a relationship was on the back page, but now single is right there in the front. But don't be surprised if someone like takes notice of that. Like, I feel like it could happen in any way. Let's just take one more or two. Look at this very soon. Clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now, very soon. And look how you're in charge of that. Clearly decide what you want. Doesn't have to mean who I want, but like, let's say it's relating to love, the type of love, right? I want someone who can and will show me their emotions, who does use terms of endearment. You know, I don't know that you need that all the time, Aries, but I feel like it'd be a welcome relief or relief, just to have that. And I do get this sense that who you're coming across, like, I don't feel anybody who's playing games. I feel like it's someone who's very comfortable within their own skin, but not in an egotistical way. But remember, the Empress is representing them. So loving, nurturing, intuitive, powerful, strong. She doesn't need love. But when she's ready for love, she'll certainly welcome it in. But she's not someone who is going to cry night and day because there's no love. She's too busy. She's like, oh, my mind can go to my creativity and I can get lost in that for hours, if not days. But, oh, we have one more card. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. That's like the cherry on top. Yes, this is your soulmate. This is your soulmate. So understand when it says release your ex, they were not a soulmate unless they were a karmic soulmate. Karmic soulmates can teach us very difficult lessons, but that's their job. That's their job. That's what they agreed to. But very soon, and yes, this is your soulmate. I mean, there's nothing else we need to ask. I feel like your money, let's just put it this way. I feel like you're making some decisions, and it may be more than one thing, but I feel like what this your reading is talking about is stepping into maybe the unknown, but then get excited. And remember your power, right? Again, as the author, what I think about, I bring about. Very soon, clearly decide what it is you want, and then a soulmate. But first, it was releasing of the ex. That makes sense, right? Because if the ex is still part of my life and the soulmate comes in, I'm not saying it's impossible, but that just throws confusion on the mix. This doesn't feel like that. It feels like the Nine of Cups happens first. So that inner fulfillment. And then the fulfillment of wishes. So, I'm glad that I listened to my intuition about taking another card with the romance angels. This could be the one. Release your ex very soon. And yes, this is your soulmate. Well, thank you, guides. Thank you, guides. And I'm gonna let that be. I'm just gonna let that be. I want to thank you. All of a sudden I was thinking about someone all of a sudden, I don't know why. Um, but anyways, I want to thank you. I want to thank you just for being open. And I'd love to hear your comments. As always, your comments mean so much to me. Sometimes they give me validation, but I love to see and hear where you're at and how it relates to you. I already know it's going to relate to a lot of you. I already feel that. My guides allow me to feel that. Um, you know, that's what I do in my readings. I do them and then I release them to the world. And then I trust that who's meant to hear them that their guides will put this reading in front of them. So, and so it is. And so it is. Wow. You know, what a reading. It started off difficult, but very quickly it turned around. And I feel like that's a symbol of very quickly you can turn your life around. It doesn't have to be all areas. But listen, I get rid of this energy that I can't trust, that's driving me mad, and all that just keeps resulting in these towers and this broken heart. And it's simply, or it is signifying that you're carrying the brunt of the responsibility. So dropping that weight, well, that makes you feel light as a feather. And your guides are even saying that. So I'm going to let that be. I thank you guys. I love you. I'll see you next time at our table. Um, I don't know. I was going to say you may want to watch Libras. I do opposites on purpose. We can always look at our opposite sign and pull from that energy. Like what does Libra have that you could use? You know, and what do you have that Libra could use? I mean, we can all learn from each other, period. But okay, I'm going to stop talking. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.